So yeah, let's talk about briefly because like I said, I just finished it today, the Courtship of Princess Leia, and then I'll get to these super chats too here. But obviously, I just finished the book, still kind of processing and thinking about it. But I love this book. I really did love this book. Now I know Sound Engraver had some things she liked about it, but also some things she really didn't like about it. And I haven't listened to her stream yet that she did. She did a live stream last week and talking about some of the issues she had with the book as well as part of that. And I didn't listen to that stream back then because I hadn't finished the book yet, and I didn't want it spoiled for myself, you know. So I need to go back and listen to her stream. But she was telling me today a little bit. I think some of the structure issues or whatever. Some of the things that she didn't like about the book, I actually didn't take that way. I had a different interpretation on a little bit. So it'd be interesting to go back and kind of search and see if the book was just vague on that, or if one of us was misreading or not, paying attention or something like that, which is perfectly possible for me. But things like, I think you do have to get to the end of the book before you make a judgment on it, anybody who's reading it. Because at first it really was uncomfortable. You see Han and Leia in the original trilogy, especially, in Empire and Return of the Jedi. And by the time they're together and they've got such a great, they're in love. There's such a great, thing they've been through. And then at the beginning of this book, it does kind of throw that in some like Leia, what are you doing? Leia, how would you even remotely consider this Prince Aang guy? He's or Ice Holder rather. He's Han's your man and whatnot. So it didn't quite sit well, but I think it's well done in terms of a book. And and by the end of it, it does sort of make it believable, especially at the end. There's a point in which, and I'm going to, by the way, if you haven't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, maybe hit mute or something, because I'm going to talk about some things that I don't think it spoils the whole book for you, but you wouldn't know going in naturally. But there's one point in the end where Han is going to do something very heroic that might have to sacrifice himself. And that's when Leia realizes, because Han says, you made a good choice, go be happy with Ice Holder or whatever. And Leia realizes she had chosen Ice Holder. I wonder if I can find it real quick. I've got the Luke part marked, but it's a good way it says it. I don't want to spend some time flipping through pages, but she says she realized that in a way she had chosen Ice Holder, not because she loved him and not because she didn't love Han, but because it was her sense of duty. I must form this alliance for my people, for the Republic. This is what I need to do as my duty. And that's a very Leia thing to do. So I can understand how she might have, even subconsciously or on autopilot, but she owed Han a good apology by the end of it that we didn't quite see. Now, did he act rationally? No, he was being, quite, rather simpish at times. But again, he's in love. So whatever. That I even the parts that made me a little uncomfortable, the whole story was done so well, I think, because what I liked about it was the unity of theme. In Courtship with Princess Leia, you've got this theme of we need the balance of both masculine and feminine forces. This is the theme that ties the whole thing together. At the core of this is Luke and Leia, right? Twins, one boy, one girl, and they're both in their different ways trying to find a sense of balance within the Force, a sense of balance of masculine and feminine energies even within the Force, because Leia, who's a diplomat, has to be sort of a mother to her people almost, or people of Alderaanians, without their planet and everything, has duties towards the Republic, and diplomatic services there. But she's trying to learn the ways of the Force as well. And that includes fighting and things like that. Whereas Luke, the same thing. He's trying to balance these things within himself. So they're at the core of this. And then you have these two matriarchal societies. You've got the Hapes and Ice Holders, the Hapes kingdom there. And then you have the Night Witches, excuse me, the witches on Dathomir. Some of them, the Night Witches are the bad ones. And the Singing Mountain, Clan of the Singing Mountain or whatever, are the good light side ones there. But you've got these matriarchal societies. Both are matriarchal in that men are sort of second-class citizen, and both have aspects of there. There's also this theme which it plays into the masculine and feminine sometimes, that of Apollonian versus Dionysian. Let's think about Apollonian being very calculated, very strategic, burying our emotions and making sure we're doing the right thing, get a sort of scheme to get our way. And then there's the Dionysian, which is just lashing out with your emotions, getting what you want, what your appetites want, and so forth. And the Hapes kingdom is more about the backroom dealings, the conniving, the scheming, different family lines trying to plot to get the throne. So they're the more like Apollonian version of that. And then the matriarchal people, the witches on Dathomir, are the more Dionysian, right? The women just take the men they want for their mates and so forth, So and that's sometimes characterized as masculine and feminine. Masculine tends to be more Apollonian, more, detached from emotion. This is just symbolic, guys. Don't yell at me here. Obviously, there are men who are way too emotional and women who could be more emotional or something like that. But, that's the symbolism there is Dionysian would be more in line with the feminine energy. Apollonian would be more in line with the masculine energy. So there's that aspect too. And so I'm laying out all these themes where they come from. Okay, what's the point of these themes? Well, the point of these themes is that we need balance within our lives. And we see that Luke is the herald of this. Luke is just the preacher of this. Later in the book, he's telling Telenial, one of the witches on Dathomir, look, you can't kill in anger. And, she does later, has to face some consequences for it, but he's trying to get her to embrace the light side of the Force. Never kill in anger. The Force is to be used for defense or protection. Never in anger, never purposely to harm somebody. But he says one thing to Iceholder, and this is I've got this marked here. I want to read this because this is part of what makes Luke Skywalker just my hero. He's just so amazing. He's right up there with Superman for me and He-Man. He's awesome. So Han is sort of absconded with Princess Leia because Iceholder and Han are this love triangle kind of thing, each one wanting her to go with him or whatever. And he's absconded to this planet of Dathomir with Leia. So Luke is searching for them because the Republic's after Han. Luke, Han's his friend, and obviously his sister's with him. He wants to make sure they're safe. So Luke is searching for them, and he ends up going with Iceholder, the would-be suitor of Leia, the one who's proposed to her, the prince of the Hapes kingdom there. And they're on the planet, and Luke is talking to Iceholder, and he says, he says, this is Luke talking to Iceholder. Tell me, who do you hunt? Han Solo, Iceholder said angrily. Luke nodded thoughtfully. Are you sure? You have hunted other men before, I feel it. What was the man's name? What was his crime? Iceholder didn't speak a moment, and Luke walked around him, watching Iceholder carefully, looking through him. Haravan, Iceholder said. Captain Haravan. And what did he take from you? Luke said. My brother. He killed my older brother. Iceholder felt lightheaded, dazed. Yes, Haravan, Luke said. You loved your brother very much. I can hear you as children, trying to fall asleep in the same large room. Your brother sang to you at night, making you feel safe when you were frightened. Iceholder felt confused, and tears stung his eyes. So tell me, Luke said, how your brother died. Shot, Iceholder said. Haravan shot him in the head with a blaster. I see, Luke said. You must forgive him. Your anger burns in you, a black spot on your heart. You must forgive him and serve the light side of the Force. Haravan's dead, Iceholder said. Why should I bother to forgive him? Because now it's happening again, Luke said. Once again, someone has taken a person that you love away from you. Han, Haravan, Leia, your brother. Your rage, your hurt from one ill deed long past colors your feelings now. If you do not forgive them, the dark side of the Force will forever rule your destiny. What does it matter? Iceholder asked. I'm not like you. I don't have any power. I will never learn how to float through the air or raise myself from the dead. You have power, Luke answered. You must learn to serve the light within you, no matter how dim it may seem. That is the power of an aspirational hero. Freaking amazing. And there's so much truth to that, that we can take in our lives without the Force and things like that. But you are colored by your past traumas and things that you've refused to forgive. If someone harmed you in the past and you're holding on to that, you've not forgiven them, they don't deserve to be forgiven. How can I forgive them for what they did? You're the one that hurts from that, right? It colors every new relationship. It'll kind of, there is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're so bent on thinking about this sort of power dynamic of this old trauma that you had that it will just kind of, you'll reinvent it in your life without even knowing it, with different people, with different things, and the power of stopping the dark side, overcoming you like that. And then, well, what does it matter? What does it matter? No, you have power. You have power. Maybe you can't be Luke Skywalker. Maybe you can't be Superman. But there are things in your life only you can do for people that only you can reach in a way that only you can reach them. You have unique abilities and opportunities. There's a certain amount of good that can only come about in the universe if you act on it, if you do it. So no matter how dim the light seems to shine in you, never lose sight of it. And that's just a beautiful, beautiful message. And in terms of the themes of the book, it's about not giving into the emotions, not giving into the emotional reactions, which are going to lead you down, the dark side. Not denying emotions by any means, but not leading into the rage and wrath and despair, that kind of thing, or lust, when it comes to the witches of Dathomir and so forth. So just a great book. And by the end of it, it ends. The very last thing is, I won't tell you what happens, but there's a look between Luke and Leia that the book ends on. And I was like, that's poignant. That's great. Because again, those two as the twins, the boy and the girl twins at the center of all of this thematically, that's what the book's about. It's so great. So I really liked it. I'm looking forward. Like I said, I've only finished it today. I'm still thinking through it all. So I'd like to hear, some of the issues people had with it and see what I think of that. But I had a really good impression of it, and I enjoyed reading it.